Martha, you can lead us in a word of prayer.
Lord, we thank you for this moment. Thank you for the gift of life. We request you to lead us in this meeting, which we are going to have as parents of different schools. Father, we commit in each and everybody who is attending that we may understand and adhere to whatever will be discussed in this meeting. In Jesus' name, our Lord, I have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mommy Martha. Yes, thank you so much. Allow me now to mute, to disable this setting such that the people who are coming in, they may not disorganize us. Okay, we want to welcome once again all the parents that are joining in from the different parts of the country. You are most welcome for this meeting. Thank you so much for sparing your time to join in such that we can learn together and walk this journey as a team. In today's meeting, as the organization, we are looking at all the three parties that are involved in the education sector. In the education sector, we have the parents, we have the teachers, and then we have the students. And we do believe that once these parties work together, then we shall be able to offer the best education for our children. Last weekend, we started with the teachers, and we took the teachers through the different kind of mental health issues that children face. And today now we want to involve the parents. And after us involving the parents, we shall now go back to the students. And then lastly, we shall again go back to the teachers, because all these ones play a big role in the education of our children. And once they work together, then we shall be able to produce the best we shall be able to produce good students, good citizens of this country. However, as we start, there is a lot that really happens in our children's life. But as parents, at times, we may fail to notice those few changes that take place. And therefore, this is the reason as to why we thought that if we invite you and then we discuss more, we can be able to help our children. Inside your children's life, there are things that you may not be able to notice. There are things that are maybe happening, but because of your hectic schedule, at times we may not be able to notice those few changes. And therefore, we thought that if we call you for this session, you can be able to notice them, and then you can be able to support our children the best way you can. There are a few eye-opener statements that I want to bring to your attention as we start this session. One, when you know better, you do better, even if you are 40. We do believe that sensitizing you on some of these issues, they are going to make you experts, and therefore you will be in position to notice those changes that take place in your child's life, and therefore you will be able to have that, to provide the support that your children may need when he's at home or when he's at school. Two, research has shown that for every 6 children you see in a home or in a family between 10 and 19, those children are experiencing some mental disorder. In fact, it is 33.3%, 2 in 6. So meaning that if you have 6 children at home, you may find out that about 2 of them are undergoing some kind of mental disorder. But because as a parent, you may not have that information of what is taking place, because at times we are very busy, we don't have time, and we may fail to notice that. So research has really shown that 2 in 6 of every, in a family or the ones you see, we have those kind of children who are experiencing different mental disorder. But also, it is really important to note that not all children that you may be seeing happy at home are really happy. Some children have the masking happiness that they usually put on their face. And just because that you provide everything that your child may need, it doesn't guarantee that those children are really very fine. At times, children, they may look happy and you may think that everything is going on well, much as you try your best to provide everything. But now you need to have that deep eye to look into some kind of things such that you can be able to know them much better. Then the last one, what may appear as minor could silently be impacting your child. At times, there are things that we look on as parents, and we may think they are little things that they may not have a great impact. But those small things that we at times ignore go on and grow and become mature. And by the time we notice that the real things have grown, it may be hard for us to address such issues. So these are some of the things we based on to call on for this meeting, such that we can have a good strategy as parents, as teachers, and all as community members, that once some of these issues are handled, our children will have a conducive environment at school, will have a conducive environment at home. And once the child has a conducive environment, I want to guarantee you that the child will be in position to study and be able to become an important citizen in this country. And in some cases, also we have noticed that some parents at times prioritize the love for money over the needs for their children. We have seen parents who understand money more than their children. You find a parent who only concentrates on making money, but he doesn't know or she doesn't know what's really happening in the life of the child. At the end of the day, you find this parent spending a lot on treating something that would have been prevented. So this meeting is going to be an eye-opener to all of us. There are many issues that we are going to be sharing in this session that we believe they will be very important for the parents, and they'll help you to see how now we can support the children as they prepare to get back to schools. And you know very well that if you support the child at home, also definitely at school, this child will have a good environment to support him. But once one of the three parties fail to do their best, then we may end up failing to raise good citizens, and our children may not be able to attain their dreams. In today's session, our lead facilitator is none other than Mrs. Juliet Kavuma. She is an education officer. She holds a master's in counseling psychology. She is a school counselor who has dealt with very many parents in this country and also beyond. She's a counseling psychologist, a mental health counselor, a behavioral psychologist, and Mrs. Juliet has gone on to present in very many workshops on topics related to mental health issues. That's why as Holistic, we decided to invite her to share with us all the key things that each of us needs to know about our children. Join me now to welcome Mrs. Juliet Kavuma to take on the presentation. Mrs. Juliet, you are most welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaziba. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you so much for the brief overview that you have given. Indeed, you have made my work so easy. I like the fact that you have mentioned, you have given us as parents the eye-opener. Some of the things we probably see, but we overlook. We are happy that this morning we have this session for us parents. I know we have also teachers online, because even teachers are parents, which sometimes some parents forget that some teachers are also parents. Allow me to first draw this curtain because I see a lot of light being reflected. Okay, I think we are better now. So I am so happy to be here. Mr. Kaziba said who I am. Just to add on, Juliet Kavuma, Nasolo. I'm a mother of 5 children, teens, 1 adult, 4 teens, and 1 child. That's what I can say. I've been a teacher for so long. And I know that if some of the parents here, we have interacted in the capacity of I being a teacher. But I'm also a counseling psychologist, and currently I work as a school counselor. So there is a lot that has come my way that we have seen as teachers, especially after the COVID-19 school closure. Whatever happened, a lot happened. And therefore, after that, when the children came back to school, we noticed a number of things. Maybe some of these things were even going on before that episode of COVID, but we were not paying that much attention. But after COVID, I think many things came to light, and now we can't keep on hiding our heads under the sand. We really need to come out as teachers, as parents, as even children, etc., as all people who handle children, whether in school or at home. We need to come up, we get to know, get educated, and get to know what we can do for our children. So thank you so much, Martha, for the prayer. And thank you, Mr. Kaziba, for the introductory note. Okay, so as you can see, our topic today is understanding teen mental health, a guide for parents. That green sign there is for mental health. I think you've seen many signs of that nature. There is one for HIV, there is one for cancer. So the green one is for mental health. Okay. Let me give a brief overview, a few things that we need to know or something we need to pay attention to. For example, why are we here? It is crucial to address teen mental health because it affects the well-being of the teen. It affects the academic performance of the teen, and it also affects their future success. If we don't pay attention to these things when they are still in their teen age and we just ignore, we could be opening a door of failure. Sorry to say that, but that is the truth. We could be opening a door of failure for this child or our children, and yet we know that we are putting them in school for them to be, to come out holistic, to learn things, to be able to handle their future. And then mental health issues in adolescents affect relationships. They affect self-esteem, and they also affect decision-making. And when you look at these things, they all play part in our lives, whether as teens who are still growing or whether as people who have now entered the workforce. If we are not handling our relationships at work very well, you'll always be that other person who cannot work in a team. If you do not handle the mental issues as an adolescent, that child will find problems making reasonable decisions in future. If your self-esteem is low and yet you are in the workforce later in life, then you cannot lead. You cannot be able to fulfill your work assignments. So it is important for us as parents to help our teens to handle the mental health issues positively. If we as parents intervene early enough, we build a mentally healthy community. That is very true. Just imagine if all people around us had an issue going on, this etc., and they are unable to handle, because every one of us has an issue going on. We have issues going on around us, okay? Issues that disabling us from handling other problems or the world's problems and challenges. However, how we handle those issues is what matters. Now, if we don't help our teens learn how to handle these things, then we won't have a healthy community. And if we don't have a healthy community, I don't even have to tell you what will happen. And then as parents, What we do is to create a supportive environment that enables the teens to navigate challenges and to thrive emotionally. So we shouldn't ignore when we see something that our child has not been before, but all of a sudden we see a certain change that is a cause for concern, then we need to come in to help this child or this teen to be able to navigate whatever challenge they are going through. And when they navigate that, then they'll be able to thrive emotionally, because emotions really do help us drive the way we run our lives. Thank you, Mr. Kaziba. Okay, so we are talking about teen mental health, but what is teen mental health anyway? So teen mental health deals with emotional well-being of a child, psychological well-being, that is something to do with the brain, okay? And then the social well-being of a child. Social well-being being the way they handle issues within the community, the way they relate with siblings, the way they relate with their friends at school. Remember, they spend almost, let me say 9 months at school and then only 4 months at home for holidays. So most of the time is spent at school. So how they handle relationships at school will definitely affect the way things go on. So mental health deals with emotional well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. Teen mental health also involves being able to successfully navigate the problems of life, to develop fulfilling relationships, to adapt to change, to utilize appropriate coping mechanisms in order to achieve well-being. Now, if a child is unable to handle the problems of life, because truth be told, however much money you provide, however much provision you give the child that they don't lack, the problems of life will always find us, because challenges are part and parcel of life. So how does the child handle the problems of life when they come her way or his way? Okay. How they handle will help them to develop fulfilling relationships. Are they always going to run away? And at this moment, I'll make a disclaimer and say, because I work with children in school, I'm also going to bring up examples of some of the things that I have come across as I'm handling student issues. I'm not going to mention names, but I'll be mentioning examples to help us learn, because we are here to learn. Now, talking about developing fulfilling relationships, I know that some children have had issues with their peers, and instead of trying to find a way of sorting out their issues, this is what comes to their mind. Mrs. Kavuma, Madam Counselor, I'm tired of the school. I hate the school. These children are unmanageable. They are terrible. I'm tired of school. I want to call my mom. She has to take me out of school. Those are some of the things that we come across. She has a problem, or he has a problem coming his way, and he thinks the best way to handle is to leave the school. Now, are they going to be running away from all problems that come their way? If all the time you get an issue, will you be running away? Are you going to solve that issue? Okay, so if children are able to handle their mental health issues, then they develop fulfilling relationships. They adapt to change, because change is part of life and issues always happen. Change always happens. So we need to help our children realize that this has happened, but we shouldn't run away. Instead, we should find better means of handling this issue. And then appropriate coping mechanisms. Some children have gone into negative coping mechanisms. So when I talk about signs and symptoms, I think we shall also mention the negative coping mechanisms that come up. But when we teach our children the positive way of handling things, then they'll be able to develop fulfilling relationships. They'll be able to thrive emotionally. They'll be able to thrive academically, and they'll be able to succeed and handle the problems of life. And then also we should know that mentally healthy teens have a positive quality of life, and they function well at home, in school, and in their communities. In other words, they function well in their environment. Thank you. Okay, so as parents, what should we know? As parents, we should know that mental health is not fixed. It is fluid. It is always moving. I think we should always take a moment and look at our children and see that, are they always happy throughout? Or there are times when they are sad, there are times when they are hyper, there are times when they are low on something, there are times when they are happy. That's what I mean by fluid. And we should know it is a normal thing. It is a normal thing. And then sometimes the teen feels like she's on top of the world. On other days, they don't even want to, come out of bed. They cover their heads and don't want to come out. You call her, wake up. You call him, wake up, come and do this. They are moody. They are not engaging in anything, don't want to see friends, etc. It is a normal thing. However, sometimes when it goes beyond, then it becomes a mental health issue. They can drift from one state to the other, and it is very normal. So as parents, we should know that if your child is sad today and tomorrow they are happy, if they are sad in the morning and in the afternoon they are happy, if they wake up in the morning very eager to do things and the other time they don't want to come out of bed, we should know that it is a normal way. However, if it is the constant routine, not coming out of bed, not wanting to see their friends or relate, or is moody, not doing this, and therefore we know that there could be an issue that is going on. So as parents, we need to know that. Next, Mr. Kaziba. Okay. What else should we know as parents? We should know what we call the mental health continuum. Now, the mental health continuum, as you can see the three colors there, we always know that green is for peace, it's for life, it's for, calmness, etc. So the mental health continuum has those three colors there. We have the green that is for life, for peace, for calm. And then we have the yellow. Then we have the red. And whenever we talk about red, we know we have trouble coming our way. So green, positive and healthy. So what am I talking about here? In relation to the earlier slide, what I'm trying to point out is that in most cases, as parents, as children, as teens, as human beings, we all stand on a mental health continuum. We are supposed to be positive and healthy, standing in that green color. That is where we are supposed to be most of the time. But because we are human beings, we have problems. They come our way. We have the stresses of life. We have a number of things happening in our lives. We have to pay fees. We have to look for money. We have children to raise. We have the community and all that. Then sometimes we are less able to deal with the stresses. So our teens are also involved in this. Most of the time, most teens are positive and healthy. They are happy. They are standing in the green color. But sometimes because of academic pressure, because of, peer relationships, because of school fees balance, because of other issues that are coming their way, sometimes they are less able to deal with the stresses of life. But that doesn't mean that they are unable completely. They are less able. However, sometimes they can move from the yellow color and slide all the way to the red color. And this is suffering from severe mental illness. Suffering from severe mental illness. But rarely do we have children move from the green to yellow to the red. Rarely. In most cases, they are between the green and the yellow. They are positive and healthy, but when they have problems, they are less able to handle the stresses of life. But in most cases, they shift back to the green when they are able to handle. And that is where we as parents come in. If we help our children develop normal coping mechanisms, normal, positive thinking, self-esteem and all that, then we are able to do what? To keep them in the healthy section. But like I said, because they are human beings, most of the time, they are those issues that come in and then they drift between. But if we completely ignore what is going on with our children, it is very possible that they will probably take up negative coping mechanisms like drugs and etc. And then they will move to the red color. They will suffer from severe mental illness. So as parents, we need to know this. We need to help our children before they move or they slide down to the suffering and the severe mental illness. Okay. What are the common mental health issues among teens? Now, these are some of the things that we have seen amongst the children that we work with, those that we relate with, those that come for help, and etc. Anxiety is the number one. Anxiety, it can be generalized anxiety, the normal anxiety of fear of exams, fear of a certain teacher, fear of this or fear of a certain person, that kind of thing. The generalized anxiety that comes because there is something that a child is going to confront that they are not usually used to. That is the generalized anxiety. And then we have the social anxiety, where children even fear to relate with peers. I remember one time we did a presentation on this very group, and then afterwards I had a child reach out in my inbox, and she was a teenager, and she told me about the issues that she was going through. She was extremely scared and fearful of everything around her. She felt like the only safe place she can be in was home. But even at home later, when I reached out to the parents, because she gave me the parents' number, when we reached out, even at home, we found out that even at home, she preferred being in her room. Now, this is a child who had been in a boarding school and she was having issues. So we found out later that she was suffering from social anxiety. And then I kind of referred them to somebody who helped them out. And I think the girl is doing better. Though as parents, sometimes we get to tell you that we have noticed this. And then as parents usually come and say, who told you to diagnose my child? And I'm telling you this because we have faced that kind of issue. Who told you to diagnose my child? Who told you this? How do you know? Bo, I don't want that. My child is here to study. She's just lazy. She's naughty. She's etc. So we've had all those things. So that is why parents, we are here today to try and understand that these children are human beings who also go through certain issues. Then some of these children get panic attacks. They are always worried and uneasy. They are always fearful. You cannot live life in that kind of a situation. You can't always be uneasy. You can't always be fearful because it's going to hinder. It's going to hinder all the good things that you would have done in life, because all the time you're saying, but what if I do this? What will happen? What if I... That's not the way we live life. We need to be positive. So children, some of the children have these disorders or these anxiety issues that need to be handled. And then eating disorders. That hard word to pronounce, I think it's called bulimia, where the child eats excessively. And then we have anorexia, when the child does not eat, they dodge meals. And then we have binge eating from morning to evening, even in the middle of the night, they are eating. So it is not normal. If they are eating excessively, it is not normal. If they are dodging meals and they are not eating, they thrive on, some are not even drinking. By the way, look at your teenagers very, very well. I have handled some issues where some children are anorexic, they are not eating, they are dodging meals and all that. So look at them very well. And then binge eating all the time, I know that yes, we eat to survive, but if somebody is eating all the time. Even in their leisure time, they are eating. They are doing this, they are eating, etc. There could be an issue that this child is going through, this teenager is going through, and they are using the eating issues to cope with whatever they are going through. Depression. We used to think long time ago when we first heard about the word depression, we used to think, one, it is a Muzungu disease. Two, it is a disease for old people or older people or adults, grown-ups. Not anymore. People live with this depression around us. Even children are going through depression. We have handled issues of mild, and one time we had an issue of severe depression. So please, parents, look out. So somebody will ask, what are the signs and symptoms? When I go to the signs and symptoms, I'll mention, how can I know that my child is going through some kind of depression? So please. But sometimes these students can come and say, I am depressed. So just because they've said I am depressed, it doesn't mean that they are depressed actually. So it could be just a simple issue they are going through. But if you notice excessive sadness going on with this child, then it's about time you found out what is going on with my child. So this person could be going through some kind of depression. Bipolar disorders, yes. In my career, my years of handling or being a school counselor, I have handled two issues of bipolar. Two issues of bipolar. They've been there. These are not diseases of Bazungu. These are diseases of the mind and diseases of human beings. And I also want to believe that they used to be there even when we didn't know about these things, but our ancestors knew how to handle some of these things. But now they've come to us because now we are educated a bit. We get to give them names and we get to know what they are. So bipolar disorder, periods of extreme mood swings. That's the word extreme, because mood swings are part and parcel of teenagers. But if they are extreme mood swings, then we need to pay attention. Manic episodes, they are children who have completely lost it. Fallen apart, cannot handle anything. They become as if some bit of insanity. They don't understand what is going on. They are completely off. They are there. Though I'm happy to note that not very many in our school system, but they are there. And then the activity to depression, episodes of low mood. Sometimes they are low in mood. I think, remember what I said about that it is normal for a child sometimes to be low, other times to be hyper, other times to be happy and all that. It is normal. But when it becomes excessive low mood all the time, Monday to Sunday, extreme high activity Monday to Sunday, then you need to check what is going on. Then ADHD. ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Now, here we have a child who has difficulty concentrating, yet we know these teens are in school, they need to concentrate. They are impulsive, they act impulsively, they just do things without thinking. And then hyperactivity, always on the high, as if they are on drugs, yet in actual sense they are not. Okay, so they could be having ADHD, and those are things that they are diagnosed by psychiatrists, by clinical psychologists. Me as a counseling psychologist, I might listen and hear and then relate that maybe this is what is going on, and then I do a referral for that child to be clearly diagnosed. And then PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. This is triggered by traumatic events that a child has gone through, and they usually have flashbacks. This child sits in class and then they are not even there. So you are teaching, or this child is at your home, you're speaking to them, they are there, but they are not listening, they don't know what is going on. or sometimes out of the blue, they just jump out of, out of themselves, let me say that. So they are having flashbacks, they are having nightmares, they have severe anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. How does this come about? Because we said that a child has experienced or witnessed something traumatic, like maybe has been involved in a road accident or has witnessed a road accident happening, has lost a parent, a guardian or a sibling or that kind of thing, and other things, or has been molested sexually, has been abused, all those things. So they bring about the post-traumatic disorder. Then I'll give you an example. I had a girl who came to me, a student. She was going through this. In class, the teachers had mentioned this girl, she used to be very, very bright. The student was very bright, but all of a sudden her academics were going down. She was not performing well at all. And then, okay, the teachers had mentioned, and then when she came to see me, I found out that she had lost a baby brother. But that baby brother had died in her arms. The baby brother was a few months old, and he had been born with an issue. And then he died when this young girl was holding the baby brother. Now, this girl never overcame that trauma. And then she came to school. It happened when she was in vacation, and then she came to school a few months later. So she was going through all that time, she was reliving what that particular period. And if you're reliving what happened, there is no way you're going to pay attention in class. Now, fast forward, when I got to the parent told me, if I overcame the loss of the child, why isn't she overcoming it? It happened. I said, my dear parent, we are different people. This might be your child, but you are different people. You are grown up, she's a child. You handle things differently, she handles things differently. And therefore, if she's still going through this episode and it is crippling her academics and social life, please understand and find a way of helping this child. So we need to know that some of these children are going through PTSD. And then phobias, excessive fear of things. I haven't come across that yet, but some children have those issues. Psychosis, when they are extremely mad now, extremely mad. I remember in my years of teaching, I think I came across 2 students who went completely or extremely mad. And in one of them, I think we found out that the mother had also had issues and she was on medication. And so this child, when she was in senior 2, she also went through that. Unfortunately, the father took her away and we never got to know what happened later. And then social media related stress. I think here we are talking, we are communicating. We have our children and we have given them phones, some of us. I think some of us have given them phones. I mean, during COVID, there is nothing we could do. The children were studying online. So some parents were forced to buy the phones so that children could stay connected to academic related issues. So they have gone and joined the social media platforms. Social media itself is not bad, but the way we use it is what makes it bad. Now, here is a young girl who has an Instagram platform, who has a Facebook, or they say Facebook is for older generation, for us in the 40s and the 50s, that for them, the young ones, they have Instagram, they have Snapchat, okay, they are on WhatsApp and other things that we don't even know. So they look at the, incredible lives of people that are shown there. And they look forward to being that kind of person. Yet in actual sense, some of these things are not realistic. They are not realistic, but these children are looking at these people and they are thinking, I want to make as much money as possible, like so and so on Instagram. I want to be this. like so and so on Instagram, on Snapchat, and etc. Their friends are enjoying life everywhere and they are posting on social media, and these children are seeing and they are wondering, how come I'm not having, oh, I do not have that kind of life. All this, at the end of that day, if a child is not mature enough to handle and differentiate, it will affect their self-esteem. It will make them believe I'm less than others. They are better than me because they are enjoying this kind of life, because they are doing this on Instagram, etc. So please, social media related stress is also there amongst our children. I've not even talked about the cyberbullying, you know. Mr. Kaziba? Okay. What are signs and symptoms? Now, the earlier slide, I've talked about the common things. There are more that could be there, but I've talked about the common things that we have seen with our work in schools amongst students. Now, the signs and symptoms, these vary according to conditions. So they vary. They are not the same for each and every condition. If it is depression, there are certain things that might signify it or point it out as depression. If it is stress, etc. Now, feeling sad or down most of the time, feeling sad or down, having a low mood. So I've tried to break them down into, easy understandable words and emotions that we see. If a child is feeling down or sad all the time, please pay attention. Try to find out, why isn't this child like this? Especially if before they were happy, they were bubbly, they were, social, but then all of a sudden, all that goes away. So take note. If they are confused in thinking or they have reduced ability to concentrate, because the teacher will tell you, or even you at home, you will notice that this child, there is something that is not right. They are not thinking well. I've told them this, they are not doing this repeatedly. And these are repeated issues. They are noticed repeatedly. If it is a one-time thing, 2 times, 3 times, it might not be an issue. But if it is a repeated cycle of doing things, please pay attention. The teacher will tell you that this child is not concentrating. They don't pay attention in class. They can never sit and listen. They cannot be comfortable for 40 minutes. They are ever, here and there. Pay attention. Excessive fears or worries or extreme feelings of guilt. Now, we've seen those, for example, that child who came to me who lost a baby brother. She had extreme feelings of guilt. She kept on asking, I was saying to herself, I wish I had done something. I wish I had done something. I wish I had done something differently. So this is what was eating her up. But in actual sense, there was nothing she could have done. So feelings of guilt, and then fear or worries. I had one who was really, really worried of the future. She was, when I started seeing her, I think she was in senior 3, and she was extremely scared of what will happen later. But when we started working with her, I found out she had lost a father, and then many things had happened within her family, many things, a continuation of problems and the challenges had happened within the family. So this girl was now living in fear. All the time she was worried. I don't know how my mom is doing. I don't know how my sister is doing. I don't know what is going on at home. And then also I had one who I think robbers had attacked the parents as they were coming into the gate in the night. And then when this girl came back to school, she just couldn't settle. All the time she wanted to call her parents, and it was genuine. You could see a genuine concern. There are those who would just want to call to find out, but this one had a real genuine concern, and you would see she's not settled. Sometimes she would even come out of class to come and try to call to find out whether the parents are okay. So such a child, if they are not helped, they can all the time live their life in fear, and we cannot live like that. Extreme mood changes of highs and lows, I've talked about that. Then withdrawal from friends and activities. Teenagers are social animals, let me say that. Human beings are social animals. We are social people. We like socializing. We like living in communities. We like it. Let me say that is what characterizes us as human beings. Teenagers like making friends. But then when you find this child who prefers all the time to be on herself, but by herself, or maybe before she was really, really, social, then all of a sudden she pulls back, withdrawal from friends and activities. She does not enjoy the things that she used to like before. Then please, as a parent, take note. Take note and try to probe, try to find out what has happened. This child could be going through cyberbullying. Some of her friends might be bullying her. Some people might be bullying her. She could be going through certain things that she cannot talk about. Therefore, she prefers to be by herself. Now, take note that there are some people who are naturally reserved. They prefer to be in isolation. But again, those ones also usually sometimes they come up, So, and if they are naturally reserved, you have noticed that as a parent, and you know that my child is like this. And in most cases, as a parent, you try to handle your child that way, and you try to push that child to be somewhere in the social circles. But then there are those who are extremely not interested in anything. They are not interested in friends. They are not interested in activities. Please take note. Try to find out. Try to help them where possible. Significant tiredness, of low energy or problems sleeping. Because they are low on energy, all the time they prefer to be in bed. They are always tired. They cannot even get up. I remember there was a girl a few years ago, even before I went into counseling. This girl would be sleeping all the time. She was in A-level. All the time she was sleeping. But because by then I was her class teacher, I just mentioned to the mother that maybe you take her for a general blood count just to find out, just as a start. Not because I was a doctor or what, I was just a mere teacher, but I was concerned about this girl's excessive sleeping in class. And when the mother did that, she found out that the girl was so low on iron levels. And then that is what was letting her, making her sleep all the time. So when we notice extreme or significant tiredness, low energy, problems sleeping, some cannot sleep well in the night, they have nightmares, some sleep very late, every day they sleep very late, or even when they go to bed early, they are always waking up, or they spend the entire day sleeping, or there's, something that is excessive in terms of sleep, then please try to find out. And then detachment from reality, or having delusions, having paranoia or hallucinations. They are those children who have gone to this extreme. One parent told me her child was saying things like, and this is not just the normal kind of talk, but things like, when I go to the Mars, I'm going to build my home on the Mars and something like that. At first, when you hear something like that, you might find that you might think it is a joke and etc. But when you find that this child seems to believe things that are out of reality. This girl was talking about the Mars. Okay, well and good. You never know, she might become a scientist and etc. But there are some unrealistic things that children might talk about or teenagers might talk about. So when you hear some of those unrealistic things, then try to pay attention and see what is going on. Hallucinations, of course, they are out of reality. Things are going on. They are dreaming, extreme, nightmares, that kind of thing. So please take note. Next. Okay, the symptoms continued. So some children are unable to cope with daily problems or stress. Stress is part of life. And for teens, yes, it is part of their life because they are in school, they have many things to handle, they have academics, they have extracurricular activities, and all those things. They have leadership, they are prefects, they are in charge. So they have many things to connect and work with. So if they are unable to handle these daily problems and all the time they are just breaking down, they are unable to find solutions to issues that are going on around them, or they are, instead of trying to handle or confronting issues the way they come, they are thinking of, I want to leave this school. Leaving the school is not going to solve the problem. Instead, even where you go, the same things will happen. Where you take the child, the same things will happen. So if they are unable to cope with daily problems, then there could be an issue. They have trouble understanding and relating to situations. Now, this could probably be mentioned by a teacher. The teacher has told you that this child, this is what is going on. They don't understand issues relating to people and situations. They are extremely indifferent. They don't care. They don't understand. They are not empathetic. They can never understand other people. I know that teenagers can be selfish sometimes, but when all these things go to the extreme, then you need to look into the issue to try and see. Then they have problems with alcohol and drug use. Some of these children are not taking alcohol or drugs for the sake of it. Some of them are taking it or taking these things, abusing the substances because there is something behind. There is a problem they are trying to deal with, and they find solace in taking alcohol and using drugs. And then major changes in eating habits. Eat a lot, eat less, eat all the time, excessive anger, hostility, aggressiveness, violence. Take note, self-harm. I want to put emphasis on this. Look at your children. There is a lot of self-harm that is going on with the children. When I talk about self-harm, what do I mean? Some go ahead and burn their bodies. They burn certain parts of their bodies, especially those who do burning. In most cases, burn parts that you won't look at, parts that will be covered with clothes. The thighs, the chest, the tummy, the inside arms, so that they can put on longer shirts that cover everything. They use matches, they use those lighters. They burn, have burns all over their body, unexplained burns. Scratching, they use their fingers, nails to scratch themselves excessively. There is nothing itching, but the child is scratching up to the point of drawing blood. Cutting, this is the most common. They use pens, they use covers of ballpoint pens, they use pencils, they use compasses in the mathematical set. They use those set squares, blunt objects, sharp objects, razor blades, and they make patterns, cutting on their arms. This one is very common on the arms, the inner thighs and the chest. They do it. We have seen it. Take note. Something might be going on. And then there are those who have suicidal ideation or suicidal thinking. Someone comes to you or even writes a note, a suicidal note. All those things we have seen. And unfortunately, we have tried, sometimes we have reached out to some parents and told them, you know what is going on? Your child is expressing this kind of behavior. And one parent told me, if that's what she wants to do, let her tell us the date and the day. But good enough, we were able to handle And later, we were able to, to bring parent and child, and we found a way of handling the issue. And there were deep, deep issues that were going on, very deep issues. So these children have suicidal thinking. Some have taken overdose of drugs. No more Panadol within their reach. All those things have happened. They have suicidal thinking. You'll hear a child telling the other or telling their friends that, what is even the point of living? Why am I even wasting time? Life is useless. If you hear that kind of talk, please pay attention. This child has suicidal ideation, and we have seen examples of children these days, which was not so common in the earlier days. But these days, I think we have seen suicidal children. We have seen children going ahead actually and trying to commit suicide, or even some of them have succeeded. I was reading a statistic from WHO, and it mentioned that suicidal thoughts and attempted suicide are the second leading cause of death amongst children between the age of 15 and young adults up to the age of 29. And it is the fourth leading cause of death for children between the age of 15 and 19. So children that we teach, children that we are raising, children that we live with are committing suicide. Sometimes we might not have seen the signs and symptoms. Other times we could have seen them and we ignored. In most cases, we might not notice because they are very good at hiding what is happening. But should you notice that your child is ever putting on that long sweater or long sleeved shirt, long clothes that cover everywhere, even when it is very hot, please try to find out. Check those arms and see. However, these signs may not necessarily indicate an issue, but if they are observed consistently, please try to seek professional help for the teen in your hands. Mr. Kaziba? Okay. What are some of the causes? Okay, we've looked at the signs and symptoms. We've seen the different mental issues, the common issues that we have seen amongst the children. But what are the causes? So, academic pressure. These are teens, they are in school. Even those who are not in school, maybe, they are also going through that, some kind of pressure. Some of us might have children who are not exactly in school, but they are also going through some kind of pressure to succeed because they are moving from childhood to adulthood. So academic pressure and balancing extracurricular demands can sometimes be overwhelming. I mean, you, the parents, are always saying we want the grades. It should be a first grade. It should be a distinction 1 or 2 all the time. We, the teachers, are breathing down their throats and we are telling them, in my literature, in my English, it is distinctions all through. Mathematics is coming and saying, my dear, we have to pass. The school is demanding and saying, these children have to pass. This school has to be, read in the newspapers as the first school or something like that. And at the end of the day, all this pressure is coming down on the child. Academic pressure. And besides that, they have to balance with extracurricular activities. So only this can stress them out completely. And before you know it, children are picking on, I know that some children have picked on drugs because others have provided something and they've told them, if you take this, if you vape on this, you'll be able to handle the academic pressure. You will not sleep. You'll be able to read all through the night. Those are some of the causes. Family dynamics. Parents, this is where you come in. Family dynamics, family structure, parental relationships. These impact directly on the children under our care. We as parents, we as guardians. whatever is going on in our homes, some of you are always busy telling your children, why don't you be like your bigger brother? Why don't you be like your sister? Why don't you perform like so and so? These children are different. They should be handled individually. Get to know each child by what they can manage and what they cannot, and work on that. So and so will not be like so and so. Even when they are twins, you find that they have different, sometimes they have different weaknesses, different strengths, different likes, dislikes, etc. So, but all the time, if you're busy telling your child, why aren't you like your bigger sister or bigger siblings? All my children are lawyers, eh? And this one is here telling me she wants to. We have seen these things. Parents, you have told us. And you have, let me use the word, harassed the children in this. I'm not on the side of the children here, by the way, because I'm also a mother and I know that we want the very best. But we need to work within the limitation of the child. What can they handle? You're busy telling her you have to do sciences because your brother, your sister did sciences. She's now a doctor. He's a lawyer. He's this. Family dynamics, family structure, parental relationships. We have broken homes, many children who have issues. When you probe a bit, you find the parents are, they are in a broken home, they are separated, and therefore there is a lot of fighting. Sometimes there is calmness, but the child is bothered by the fact that these parents are not together. All those things are happening and we cannot stop them from happening, but let us have control over how we handle our issues. Because if we don't have control, if we are ever quarreling, we are exchanging words, we are fighting over this, the father comes, picks the child, the mother is not aware, he takes her the other side, she takes him the other side, all those things, they are causing stress amongst our children. Please, parents, pay attention. Peer relationships, making friends within themselves, as you know, teenagers, the way they can be, especially the girls, but even the boys too. So sometimes they fail to relate with other peers. They fail to fit in, and therefore, at the end of the day, they feel isolated, they feel lonely, and before you know it, they become anxious. They are so stressed about issues, then they probably slip into substance abuse and all that. Traumatic experiences, I've already mentioned this, loss and grief, or abuse and neglect. We have children, but we prefer to do our own thing. I've paid fees. I mean, what more does she need from me? What more does he need from me? I have paid fees. I have provided things. So how about the emotional bit of it? You need to connect with that child to know what are their interests. What makes them go off? You know, who is this person? Who is my child? Do I know who my child is? We are neglecting these teenagers, and the teenagers can be so emotional. They want that bit of attachment, much as they are very independent at the same time. But they need to know, they want to feel that my parent cares, because they are at a time when they realize between two things, you either care or you don't. So some have been abused, some have lost parents and guardians. There was a lot of trauma after COVID when we went back to schools, and we found some children had lost their parents. So a number of them had a lot of grief to deal with, a lot of grief. But in most cases, when children lose parents, usually it is like, yes, it has happened. And then nobody does a follow-up to find out. Then all of a sudden the child has aggressive behavior, they are so reserved, they are so into themselves. Kumbe, the issue is coming from the loss and the grief that they went through. So we need to do a follow-up somehow. Social media influence, I've already talked about that. And then Parental expectations, unrealistic parental expectations. This comes down to also the academic pressure, that all my children are doctors. You must be a doctor. You are the last born. You can't let me down. Unrealistic. We should get to know what our children can manage, what they can handle, and let's work within that. Who said that it is only the doctors who make money? Because at the end of the day, it comes down to managing your future life. If there is something that brings in an income, things have changed so much. Now, people who make a lot of money, we've seen these content creators and all that. It might not be necessarily because of the money that is coming in, but to be realistic, parents, we need to be realistic in the expectations of our children. We need to know what they can manage and what they cannot manage, and let us work within that. Some of us
Mrs. Juliet, let us be a bit patient. I think she has lost network. Yes, but those who have some questions, feel free to have them in the chat. At the right moment, we shall have those questions read and she'll be able to respond. But you can as well be putting them somewhere such that we do not lose them, because you may have some point that you want to raise, but maybe it might come in when you have already forgotten it. So let's give her just a minute. I think she's back. Mrs. Juliet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what's happened there.
So
okay, so okay, social media influence, parental expectations, family disposition, or what we call genetics. So sometimes the children face mental issues because of the genetics, that in the family line, there is something like that. Like I mentioned that one time I encountered this young girl, she was in senior one then, and she started having issues. And by the time she joined the senior two, she couldn't handle. And the parent had to pull her out because she had severe mental issues. And later we found out that the mother had also undergone that kind of thing, and they were managing her with medication. So genetics also play a role. They can cause mental issues. Some of our children, children of parents who have medical issues like they are mentally disturbed. So, and all those things, I think we understand. I don't want to go so much into that, but I think we know that in our families, we know if we have an issue of bipolar, it is very possible that probably our children might also face something like that. And then hormonal changes among teens, they definitely influence the mood. I mentioned that teens can be very moody. They can be very moody, hyper, very, it is because of the hormones. They are moving from childhood scientifically. They are becoming young adults, mature people. So the hormones are doing their job. They can be moody sometimes, they can be sad sometimes, they can be hyper sometimes. So such issues can also cause mental health issues, but it depends on how the child is able to handle. If they are unable to handle, then it can become a consistent problem for them. Financial strain. As parents, we go through a lot. Sometimes we are unable. Other times we are able. Other times we are completely incapacitated. We can't handle. So the financial strain in a home, the poverty levels and all that, all those things can cause issues of mental health. But how we handle those problems is what matters. So, my dear parents, we need to find ways of handling. We need to find ways of handling so that the strain is not so much. So, I think God gave us these children, and in a way, we need to provide for them. So we need to find ways of providing for these children, of course, in the right means. Eh? Of course, in the right means, because at the end of the day, financial strain impacts on the child. Then living in an unsafe environment. Now, this goes mainly to, I know that this is a Ugandan platform, but there are many people who are on this platform or who might log in who are not necessarily living in areas where it is safe and all that. Some live in refugee camps and all that. So if there are children who come from that kind of environment, they are always worried, they are unsafe. So because they are living with that worry and excessive tension and fear, so the mental issues, it is very possible that they can happen. But even before we go that far, some of us live in places where it is not safe at all. Okay? So imagine a child who came from Masaka at the time of Bijambia, that time. That child would not be so safe. Even right now, with all the insecurity around us, children can develop mental health issues from that kind of environment. And then how can we help our teens? One of the best things to do is to have a culture of open communication in your home, you as a parent. You need to have a culture of open communication in your home. When we talk about open communication, what do we mean? Listen to the concerns of the children or the teens by creating a safe space where they won't be judged or where you can be approachable. You are the number one caregiver. Now, if your child cannot talk to you about a problem that they are facing, a challenge that they are facing, now who do you think they are going to talk to? Try to be approachable so that they can find it easy to at least mention that something is not right. If not, at least there should be someone within the home or a relative or somebody they feel at ease with to talk to. Do not judge all the time. As parents, we love this all the time. We are saying, why aren't you like the other person, etc. If you keep on judging, they already know that even when I have a problem and I tell my mom, I tell my dad, this is what he's going to say. Create time to discuss sensitive topics like sexuality, adolescence, and relationships. We are leaving these topics to the children to discover for themselves. As much as they are sensitive, or as sensitive as they are, insomnia, we need to put insomnia on the side sometimes. Or we need to find somebody, there used to be sengas and kojas and all that time, but all those systems are broken down. So it is left to the parent to find a way to talk to your children about sexuality issues. You've seen the sexuality issues that we are going through, the homosexuality things, everything is all over the place. So if you don't mention what is right from wrong to your children, then there will be issues. They'll be bothered. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle. They don't know. Adolescents, relationships, they need to know these things. You need to talk to them about these things. These are teenagers. Even when you keep quiet, they will find out. Unfortunately, when they do find out, sometimes they find out from wrong sources that are going to influence them differently. Assure them that it is normal to have different feelings about different situations. I mean, we can't all react the same way to something. It is normal for us to react differently. However, our reactions should be within the limitations. We can't be indifferent. When somebody has lost someone and we are completely indifferent, that is not the normal human kind of understanding of feelings. So, but children need to know that it is normal to react differently, but within the limits of a human being. Ask about their friends. Do you know your children's friends? Take the time right now to find out. Do I know my children's friends? Do I know who they are? If I know, have I maybe reached out to know who the parents are? Because there are some of us parents who allow our children to go have sleepovers. This has been very common, only that these days people have opened their eyes and they've gotten to know. So if you're letting your child go sleep at her friend's house, who are the people there? Do you know the parents? So please take note. Ask your children about their friends. Get to know who their friends are when you visit on visitation. If you're able to meet their friends, well and good. If you're able to relate with their parents on that day, well and good. Get to know your children. Respect their boundaries. Teens love boundaries. But respecting boundaries doesn't mean that you're completely going to pull off or pull away. The respecting of boundaries should be done within the limits of a home. You can't allow the child, just because you're respecting boundaries, that all the time they keep in their bedroom, it is locked, they have their TV in there, they have their phone, they are doing their things from there. No, my dear. It has to be within the limits of you as a parent. Much as I want to respect that this is my teen, however, there are certain things that I need to know about my child. Are they supposed to be in their room all the time, keeping to themselves, watching TV? I don't even know what they are watching, etc. Then make use of technology sometimes to keep in touch. Maybe for those parents who go to work during the holidays and the children are at home, there is a phone there. Don't spend the entire day at home without even calling to find out, hey, hello, what is going on at home? What are you doing? And all that. That's what I mean by keeping in touch. So sometimes you are on WhatsApp with your child, you are connected via WhatsApp, via social media. If you saw something interesting, do send them, oh, you listen, you watch this video, look at this. It is just creating a kind of connection. You're using technology to fit into their era, because Katifeabaina teens at this moment, we grew up at a time when technology was not there. There were landlines, and not even many people had landlines, but now it is just in our hands. They are growing up in this era. So try to connect. You can use technology to connect with a child. You are at work and then you send her maybe a prayer. Can you read this prayer, or can you pray this prayer? Can you read this verse? That kind of thing. You're creating a kind of connection. The child knows you're thinking about them. They are thinking about you. There is that kind of connection. So even when they have an issue, sometimes they can reach out because you're reaching out. Be educated about mental health issues. Thank you for logging on. That is exactly what we are doing today. We are getting educated about mental health issues. Share your relevant struggles with them. So relevant is the key word here. You're not going to mention all your issues to your children, because you might end up scaring them, or you might end up creating, can I say, a bridge, not a bridge, a gap between, maybe if it is a separated family, you might share your problems, and then you're creating a gap between you the mother, or you the father, and their mother, or and their father. So we need to be careful. If whatever we struggle with and we need to share with the children, it should be relevant. And what does this do? When we share our struggles with them, they also get to connect with us. They know that we are going through certain things. If you tell them, in my teen years, this is what happened to me, they also know that you're human being, they are human being, you went through this, they are going through this. This is how we can handle. So open communication is the number one if you're to help your children with their issues, mental health. Next, please. What else can we do apart from open communication? What else can we do? Now, these things are not arranged according to how much they can help or how little they can help. They are just there You can choose what is relevant, what works best for you. If it is open communication, which is a must though, let's go for that, okay? Encourage physical activity. Physical activity helps us to release the built-up tension in our bodies. These teenagers have a lot of tension within them, and we can help them release that tension by encouraging physical activity. Some people can take their children swimming, others for sports, others walking, others jogging, so others any other thing. Some have memberships to gyms, whatever it is that you can do within your reach. Help the child to release. Truth to be told is that when you come to schools these days have become so academically oriented that you find the children, even when they want to participate in their sports and etc., there is either very little time or no time at all. Now, if all this tension is just inside, I would compare it to that Coca-Cola bottle that is closed properly, and then you're busy shaking it, shaking it, shaking it. Then time will come when you want to open it, it will just blow up. This is the kind of tension that the children might be having within them because of the academic pressure, unrealistic expectation, social relationships that are not going well, the eating disorders, the stress and all that. They have it in them. And therefore, if we want to get rid of that, somehow we need to engage our children in physical activity. Encourage family time. Play board games with these children. Ludo, what happened to Ludo? What happened to Draft? What happened to Monopoly? What happened to Snakes and Ladders? So these can create very good family time. And within this family time, we get to know who our children are. Movie night, some people have done that. I've seen many people having this kind of setting, a picnic where you just go out with your children and you relax a bit. It doesn't necessarily mean there has to be money to buy this and etc. The picking can even happen within your home. If you have that green environment, you can put the mats outside and, you sit and enjoy each other's company. You listen to music. Who say the parents don't listen to music? My dear parents. Creative outlets like drawing, coloring books are not only for children in nursery school, but they are also good art therapy for our teenagers. They are also adult coloring books, by the way. They are also there. So you can engage your children in such things. I take my children to a Sunday school where we do coloring every Sunday. And it is a very good activity. You see the children enjoying, and even you, the adult who is there, you can pick your paper and you also pick the colors and you color. And when you come out of those sessions, you find that, there is something that has calmed down your soul in a way. Encourage a healthy lifestyle, healthy eating, adequate sleep, adequate hydration. We have children who are not drinking enough water or taking in enough liquids, or if they are taking in, it's mainly carbonated liquids and all that. So some of the issues of some of the teens who have come to my office, some of them have come, and when I look at this person, in most cases, I start by saying, please have this bottle of water. And they take the bottle of water, and then you start seeing the color in their cheeks. People, take note. You see your child, her lips are very dry, they are peeling and etc. They are lacking liquids. I'm not a medical person, but I know that this is the issue. Then you have children who are always complaining of headaches, headaches, headaches. If it's not a medical issue that is causing that, it could be that this child is dehydrated. They are not taking enough liquids within their bodies. So please encourage a healthy lifestyle. Help them work out time management for house chores, for their studies, for any other activities now that they are in holidays. When they are in school, they have a timetable that they follow. They know I have to wake up at 5, at this time, 8, I have to be in class. 4:40, I'm out of class, then I go for sports, etc. They have a timetable. But now when they come home, there is no timetable and they do whatever they want. Please help them work out a timetable to manage their time. Now that they are in holidays, it doesn't mean that we should throw the books away, because they will come back when they are, when they are green, when they come back to school. Please let them work out some time. They have time for studies, even in holidays. They have time for house chores. It is important for them to learn. I know of some parents who have complained, why are our children doing housework at school? Why this? Then some of our children go to schools where we have workers everywhere. There is no time for housework because the child has to do academics from morning to evening. My dear people, when they are home, allow these children to participate in house chores. Allow them to participate in other activities. If you can go with them to your workplace, maybe you run a shop once in a while, not every day. If you're going to shop for their home, for their family, go with them, let them do the shopping, that kind of thing. But some of us are keeping the children indoors. We are not taking them anywhere. When it's shopping, you get into your car, you go do the shopping, you come and drop things there. Please, if we are doing that, we need to change. Next, please. Okay, what else? What more can we do? Social support. Connect with friends, with the family, and other support groups. We find that usually the December holidays are holidays for people to get to know each other, for people to connect with friends, family members meet. They probably have these festivities together and all that. Don't always keep your children to yourself. Sometimes somewhere where you see the coast is clear, where it's okay, depending on your family situation, let the children mingle. But if it is hard, then it's okay, it is understandable. But find ways of these children having some kind of social support, even outside the family. Encourage journaling and writing diaries. When we were growing up, we used to keep diaries, and our diaries were very secretive. All our feelings and things that we're doing were in those diaries. So all of a sudden, those things are not there anymore. We have no outlets to bring out our issues. But I know that some people have, encouraged the children to keep the journals, to keep the diaries. Others are putting their diaries online, which sometimes can be very detrimental. Because when you put it online, if it so happens to be broken into and it's spread across, then it can be very harmful. So I'll allow or encourage these children to do some kind of journaling, to write down their feelings, get them a beautiful, wonderful, small book where they can write their issues, because those are some of the things we do in therapy that help them to come in contact with their emotions and be able to handle what is going on. Speak positive affirmations into your children. I had a child I was dealing with, and she told me her mom would say, Muzimu gwe. That is her kind of language. Muzimu gwe ye gwe. Mulalu gwe, that kind of word. Now, if this is the kind of language you use, even when the children, they can be annoying sometimes. You try to pull them out of bed and they are not coming. And then you say anything that comes to your mind. Please, parents, if we are to get angry, we need also to control our anger. We need to speak positive affirmations into our children. What do we mean? Make the child believe she can do it and she will do it. But all the time, if you're busy saying, what can you manage? Look at you, etc. They'll also believe they can't manage and they will stay in that kind of condition. If you call them Muzimugwe all the time, etc., look at you all the time, that is exactly what they are going to be. But if you speak positive affirmations into them, you can manage, you can do it, you look so good, you look wonderful, that kind of thing. It will help the child have positive self-esteem. Then control screen time. Just because they are in holidays doesn't mean that we should allow them to be on those phones, to be on the TV all through the night. Control screen time, like I said, screen time also has its own effects. Allow participation in volunteer work. Our children, some of them, I've seen them leading Sunday school. Yeah, where I go, it is the children who lead Sunday school, the teenagers who lead Sunday school. So please allow them to participate. It gives them a sense of purpose and fulfillment. So please allow the children, don't control them so much. Control until where necessary. But if you're the kind of parent who is going to say, no, 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 you can't do that. You will not do that. No, I don't think that is good for you, etc. Then, because you want them to do what you want them to do, sometimes it might not be very good for them. So it gives them a sense of purpose and fulfillment if they take part in voluntary work. If they do Sunday school, they teach Sunday school. If sometimes they, if church has organized some kind of social work to give to those who are in need, etc. If possible, allow the children to participate. Encourage self-care. Talk to your children about looking good, being happy, emotional care, spiritual care, and all those things. Talk to the children about it. If they are happy, if they are looking good, what is reflected, what is in the inside will be reflected on the outside. If somebody is emotionally down, even on top, they'll probably not be combing their hair, their clothing is just like that, etc. Encourage self-care. If we are looking good and we are happy about the way we are, they are teenagers, they want to look good. They want compliments. They need to feel happy. They need to be comfortable in their bodies. But if you are the parent who is saying, yeah, boy, now you're too heavy, now you're too fat, now you're too this, you're breaking that child. Now you're too skinny, now you're too, please take note that some of these comments break them completely. Ground your children in religion. Spirituality is important. A man without religion is a lost soul. Religion, when we have religion, there are certain things we cannot do because we have that value within us. If a child has that kind of religion, if a child has that value of spiritual beliefs, then there are certain things that they cannot engage in, that they cannot do. Sex before marriage, etc. All those things, premarital sex and all that. If we do not ground our children in religion, then we are losing our children slowly by slowly. I'm saying this because we are in Uganda and we know that this is a prayerful nation. It is a religious nation. Each one of us has some kind of religion that we are affiliated to. Let us help our children be part of a spiritual journey. Let us encourage prayer. Let us have family time through prayer and all that. And then, if all these issues come to light and you notice, please seek professional help. Thank you. We've talked about the teens. How about us, the parents? We need self-care too. We need to sleep, to have enough sleep, to overcome the worries of this world. Ever try this? Or I think you have tried it sometimes when you have a lot of work to do and then you come with it home and all through the night up to around midnight, you're doing that project. Then tomorrow, the following day, by afternoon or by 11, you feel very drowsy on sleep. If you spend the entire night in a bar, in a dance hall, in etc. and all those things, the following day will not be productive. You need to prioritize sleep. It is important for you as a parent. You cannot pour from a cup that is empty. Remember, you're raising children and you have to pour from a cup that is full. There is no way you're going to manage the moody teens, the hormonal teens, the teens who keep us on our toes if you're not taking care of yourself. Be realistic in your expectations. Be very realistic in your expectations. Know your child and know what they can manage so that if something happens, you at least know that, oh, this is the manage the others, but you're pushing her there. Be realistic in your expectations so that when something happens, you know how to handle. Establish boundaries between family and personal time. So sometimes now you need some little me time to yourself. Yes, we are raising families, but if I have 2 hours to myself, I don't think my family is going to fall apart just because I've taken off 2 hours to do something for myself. Take breaks to recharge. Take breaks. We have been in that holiday. Some people have been working, others have not. Some people took a week off because of Christmas holiday. Others decided to work through the Christmas holiday because of the demands of their jobs and etc. But you cannot work from January to January without taking a break. You need to take a break to recharge. Delegate responsibilities. Teenagers, we are looking at teenagers. We know that now they are at that age where they can differentiate right from wrong. So sometimes you can delegate. That teenager can take care of the young brother very well. But if you think you are the one who is going to wake up all the time, shower this young brother, do this for young brother, do this, do that, then at the end of the day, you'll be overwhelmed because you have also to take care of the home, and other things, your work and all that, responsibilities outside your home, community responsibilities. But if you delegate within your home, you delegate at your workplace and etc., then you'll be able to have some time for your family, to have some time for your friends. I know of parents who usually take their annual leave, at least 1 week of their annual leave every holiday when their children come home. They do it in such a way that they take off at least a week or 2 weeks of their annual holiday so that they get to be with their children when they are at home. So you need to learn to delegate, take breaks, etc. Engage in hobbies. Who said that because you're a parent, you don't have a hobby? You have a hobby. Some of you had very good hobbies that you disregarded or threw away the moment children came into the home. Please rejuvenate yourself, reignite those things that you used to love, engage in one at least to keep you busy. The good thing is now all over you see that there are so many things that are coming up around us. There are people who have nature walks, they are there. There are people who have runs in the morning and in the evening. We have seen them. There are people who engage in social communities. They meet every week and they have this kind of connection within them. They are there. So people are opening up. They now know that these are the things. There are people who go for Zumba dance and all those things, engage in a hobby. We've seen leagues of companies, people engage in football, leagues and all that. Exercise regularly, eat healthy, have a social community. It is important. Next. Okay. Express your emotions. When you feel down, when you feel low, you need to learn how to. Remember, I talked about journaling and keeping diaries. Even us grown-ups, we can express our emotions. We might not be able to tell our children how we feel, but if I have somewhere that I can write or I find a way of expressing my emotions, maybe through exercise, maybe through what? If I express them, then my bottled up issues will come out and then I'll be relieved a bit. Celebrate achievements for your family, for your children, for your relatives, graduations, birthday parties, etc. If it is possible in whatever way, whether grand or simplistic, etc. Celebrate achievements. Practice gratitude by reflecting on the aspects of parenthood where you have excelled. Be kind to yourself. Parenting comes with challenges. Nobody goes through parenting 100% without any challenge. Even those we have seen have raised doctors, lawyers, teachers, what? They have different, professions in their homes. They also went through challenges. Parenthood comes with challenges. So be kind to yourself. When challenges come, find a way of handling them. Don't be like Kalabana Bagundi, they are happy, they are this, they went through etc. No, they also have their own challenges. Pay attention to your family. Find ways of handling issues within your family. Be happy, be grateful, reflect on the good things that are happening, and then you'll be able to handle even the challenges that come your way. Music is food for the soul, like I said. Who said that music is for children? We also listen to music. It soothes our soul. It helps us to relax, to be peaceful, to be calm. And if you listen to music, that is a form of self-care. Learn to say no. Sometimes we are those kind of people who think that we can solve all the problems of the world. No. We sometimes want to give our children everything, but sometimes we have limited funds, and we learn to say no, that this time around, my child, I will not manage here. Learn to say no to certain aspects so that you're able to be peaceful instead of going over and beyond on things that are straining you. Nourish your religious self. Nourish your religious self. Religion keeps us calm. It keeps us within the boundaries. And lastly, what are we taking home from this session? We should understand and use open communication where our teens are concerned. It is important. We should acknowledge that challenges, they are challenges. We should be able to recognize the early signs and symptoms and act accordingly. Nobody in this world goes through life without challenges. Therefore, we should not beat up ourselves because I have a problem child, because I have challenges. However, how can I handle this problem child? What is it that is bothering my son? What is it that is bothering my daughter? How best can I get support? How best can I come in? You can prevent mental health issues from happening by acting early enough. Create a supportive environment where your child knows that you're approachable, that there is somebody they can approach, there is a way they can be helped without being judged, instead of when the child tells you she's overwhelmingly stressed, instead of telling her things like, handle your issues. It's because you're lazy. It's this. By the time they come up to say something, then maybe they are hitting on something behind there that is happening. Please pay attention. You can prevent these issues from escalating if you handle them as soon as possible. Lucky for us as parents, if our children are in school, teachers are keen. They will find out if something is not right. And in most cases, they will mention that, there is something that is not right about this child, please. Their behavior changes, their emotional issues, etc. So if you're told as a parent, instead of saying things like, so that we can organize, please pay attention. As a parent, your role is pivotal. I don't even have to tell us that. We all know. Let us stay connected. Let us build resilience in our children. When this child tells you, I want to change school because this and this, you need to, before you even think of changing the school, let it be the last resort. Don't be all the time on the side of your child. My child is suffering. She's failed to make friends. Therefore, I'm taking her to another school. Who tells you that where she's going, she'll find it easy to make friendships? Build resilience in the children. Help them to understand challenges are part of life. The way we handle those challenges is what matters, and be willing to accept new ideas and suggestions. Our teens sometimes have new ideas and suggestions. They have new ideas and suggestions. You should be amazed by some of the things these children can do, some of the ideas they come up with. But because they are teens, as parents, we look at them and say, you just leave that. I don't think it will work. Please be open. If you think it will work, allow them to exercise or to put in place those new ideas and suggestions. So thank you very much. I think that's it from this side. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Teacher Juliet, for the wonderful presentation. Dear parents, join me to thank Teacher Juliet for that wonderful presentation she has shared with us. Thank you so much, Teacher Juliet. I understand that many of us may have some questions for her. This is the time for us to ask in case there is any question lingering into your mind and you want to find an answer. But also in case there is something you want to share with the parents, kindly, this is the time you can raise those issues such that everyone can learn from the parents who have gone through the same. So kindly raise up your hand and have your question asked. Yes, you have. For you to raise your hand, there is an icon. Those who are using a phone, there is an icon where there is a reaction. That's why you can have that an icon found. Okay. Okay, now people who have been, okay, let me start with the chaplain. Yes, Mr. Godfrey.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siva and Madam Kavumba. I'm Godfrey Yusuf Yamkama, Deputy Academics to Water Cases, and at one time a chaplain of schools and St. Luke's Church in Tinda. I just thought I would share again what I shared with the teachers last time about my observations. I'll start with when I was a chaplain, because the parents should know that neglect or not visiting a child at school can also lead to misbehavior. I was given an example of a boy who was in S5 at one of the schools I'll not mention, where I was working as a chaplain. And this student intentionally broke a window pane. And when he was quizzed why, he was saying, my dad had never visited me to school. So I thought through this, he will be invited to school and at least visit me. And also, our children at times look at what we possess as more important to us, the parents, than them. I had an example of a family where children were complaining that their parents' car is more important to them than themselves. Because each time when the father wakes up in the morning, not finding out how they spend the night, the first question would be, is my car washed? So in that they were looking at the father valuing the car more than them. And thirdly and lastly is about academic stress. We've seen that students go through a lot of stress, especially when it comes to S5, when parents are, I'll say, choosing combinations for them, combinations that they cannot manage, especially in an era of sciences now. Someone who would have done arts, is forced to do sciences. And the student struggles a lot, and in the end, it causes a lot of stress and depression to the student. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Godfrey, for the sharing. I think it is really very good for parents to take note of that. I think some time back, there is also a student who, in fact, one of the findings so far that have been brought on board was that the parents were very close to the school, but could not give time to the child. So they kept on even missing the VDs, the visitation days, much as the parents were very close to the school, not visiting the child. So the child was really very stressed, and she went on even to commit suicide. So some things that we may consider very small, they mean a lot in our children's life. Okay. Maria Sarah.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. So my question is, I took my firstborn to a boarding school. He's now 13 years. But wherever he came back for holidays, he was complaining, I don't want to go back to boarding school. I tried talking to him for him to open up, and he's like, I hate boarding school. So I don't know how I can be helped, because now he's at for P7 and I want him to join King's College Budo. So he still has that phobia, so I don't know how I can be helped. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Teacher Juliet, do you want to first respond?
Yes, I'll respond to Madam Sarah, I think, by saying that sometimes these children can be going through some bit of abuse when they are in school, but other times it is because they are children. They are just growing up and they are not able to fit into boarding school, especially those who go when they are really, really still young. I went to boarding school, I think, but those years, most of us ended up in boarding school because day schools were very few, very good day schools were very few. So the only option was boarding school. So I went to boarding school when I was 5. But up to now, I still tell my mother, I'll never take my children to boarding school when they're in primary school. But now the kind of world that we live in, so we can't help it. Sometimes we need to take the children to boarding school because we just don't have the time to ferry them to and fro from school, or where we live. There are no, really schools that we appreciate to take the children to, or we have a workload that is really very, for Gamma, there are so many things that deter us. But when the child goes to boarding school, always try when they are really young, always try to keep in touch. Keep in touch with a matron, keep in touch with a warden, keep in touch with whoever is responsible to find out what is going on with your child. Your child might not open up, but I think there are certain things sometimes the children can tell other children what they are going through. They can tell their maybe grandparents, if they have that connection, what they are going through. They can tell someone by simply thinking that you're going to ask the child and you get what they are going through. Sometimes it might not work because they will not tell you. In most cases, they will not tell you. But sometimes through their play and their connection with their fellow peers, they might mention that something is going on. So you need to find out. So I would assume that 13 now he's going to secondary school. Maybe the experience will be different. You never know. I remember when I took my child to S1 for the first time to be away from school, the boy, the firstborn. That day when I dropped him in that boarding school, he told me, this is exactly what he said, Mommy, you have just killed me. That day when we got home, we could not eat, we could not do what. He was the first person it was the first time that he was being away from us. So these things happen, but at the end of the day, he managed to go through the system without damage, actually, without damage. So what we did was to try in the first month that he was there, we tried as much as possible to check on him because the school anyway allowed us. We tried to check on him, and he knew that we had not simply dumped him there, that we were still in his life. And I think that is what helped him to manage. So by the end of term 1, he was doing well. Now he has finished university and he's a happy young man. So you need to find out, even when you take him to school, what the visitation is once a term. If you have some little time and the school allows it, try to drop in to find out what is going on with my child. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Teacher Juliet. I think all parents, please, like she mentioned even earlier, get to know your children's friends. Many times, those children feel open when they share with their friends. So some of those friends have a lot of information that your child might have shared with them. So when you get in touch with them, they will be able to tell you some of the things probably your child has not yet shared with you. They are good sources of information about your child. So when you get to school, feel free to interact with them, and maybe you can ask, or they can, if in case they are free, they can be able to share a lot that you might not know. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Kaziba.
Thank you. Techno.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes,
good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for this. What I wanted to add is parents should have a culture of engaging their children when they are still young. I mean, from an early age, interact with your child. Those kids have a mind, they understand. You keep building that environment. Don't wait until that child is a teenager. Then the other thing, create an environment where you can keep your child's secrets. Parents have a tendency of being bullies also. Your child tells you something and you're gonna go sing around it, make fun of it. That way, you'll be creating a gap between you and your child. Your child is definitely going to look for someone else to trust who is not you, their parent. Then, another thing, this is more especially to male parents. Be involved in your child's life. Be there personally, like physical. You may be giving money and all the other support, but your children needs you. There are some issues kids want to talk to with their male parents. They feel safe speaking with their male parents, especially with male kids. They want to relate with their fathers. Maybe they think him being a man, he's going to understand my point. And then another thing, I had an experience when my child was in primary school. I used to go to a school. I'm a parent who gathers kids. I love to read kids' minds. So I let them speak, and then I know their intellect, what they think. So I had a very big group of kids. But then I realized kids used to tell me, my mom cannot sit and talk like that. When she comes back from work, she goes straight and she will say, I don't want anyone to disturb me. I'm tired. And she's laughing with her friends on TikTok, on WhatsApp, on this. So that way, kids will feel maybe they are not loved, they are not valued, they are not given enough time. You are giving, they feel jealous. So they'll definitely look for other people to give them time. And that way you are losing your child. So all that is going to happen in this stage where you think she's disturbing, she's going to shout, she's going to jump around. by the time you want to bring her on a table to speak with her on issues when she's a teenager, you already ruined it. You have to keep building it. You're not going to wait until she's a teenager to think, okay, let me talk to her. So that is all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Okay, then we have Mrs. Faith Juliet.
I come on again. Oh,
No, there is another Juliet.
Oh, there is a Juliet who took my name.
Yeah. Mrs. Okay. Mrs. Juliet, unmute. I think she's failing to unmute. Okay. Mr. David, you can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are clear.
Sorry. I can. This is Faith.
Okay.
Okay,
Can you
Faith,
hear me?
come first.
Thank you, Madam Juliet.
Okay. Yes, Faith come first, and then Mr. David, you come in. Yes, Faith, you can go on.
I'm sorry, I was driving, so I had to find somewhere to first park. Yeah, good morning, parents, and good morning, everybody here. I would like to begin by thanking our presenter, the counselor, for that very insightful presentation this morning at a time when children are on holidays and in an era where we are faced with many questions, some which we cannot answer. Mine are two. One is a question to the counselor. I have a son, he's now 17. This boy, ever since was a baby, I must say ever since he started communicating, he's someone who keeps things to himself. Even when someone has hurt him and you expect him to tell you, he will not tell you. Right from when he was young, like someone will do something and then you hear it from someone and you ask him, did so-and-so do this to you? What happened? He will say, no, nothing. One time when he was a child, he told me, I think when he was about 6, 7, there is something that happened at home and I wanted him to tell me because children don't lie. When I insisted, he told me, Mommy, why do you go into things that don't concern you? You'll end up getting annoyed for nothing. You should always leave some things, and that has always been him up to today. One time he went somewhere, I don't know what they did to him because he loved visiting that place. But from that day, the boy doesn't want to go there. Even when the owner of the home insists and says, no, let him come. It's been years, he doesn't. But I've tried to probe to ask what could have happened. He simply says, Mommy, just leave it because you get annoyed. So I'm like, hey, which kind of person is this? But I have decided, I think, to accept him that way. He tells me what he wants, what he feels he should share with me. I try to probe, I try to show him love and he really loves me and he loves the father, but he just doesn't open his mouth anyhow. So through this presentation, I was asking myself, are we on the right track? Is he okay? That is one. Two, my first child, we separated with the father years ago, and he took away from me when he was 3 years. I tried to go to court. I was frustrated. You know, when you're fighting with someone who has the money, and by then I didn't have the money. I didn't have a job. What I decided to do was to look up to every school they took him to. I would find out and go there and introduce myself. Some of the teachers would be friendly, others wouldn't be, but I always found my way there and I kept in my son's life. Now, when he was in senior four in Amiliango, there was, I think something happened that they could not let me go and see the boy. It started when he was in senior 2. He did all the subjects well, technical drawing, he got below 10. They told him to repeat. Of course, I refused because he had done well on the other subjects. But the father, because we were not in good terms, he took his decision. When he repeated the second time, he just wrote his name on the paper and sat and looked on. Then of course, he could not now repeat the second times the same class. You're being in a class for 3 times. You've been there once, you've repeated once. Now this is going to be another time. So he got him a school, and I went, I spoke to the head teacher, I expressed my pain. So the head teacher was very good. He said, no, madam, anytime you want, come and see your son. And in this school, we let children, if parents pick children over weekends, they take them. As long as the father doesn't get to know, please take your son and talk to him. And I would always go and visit. Sometimes would ask for permission. He comes by the father when the father doesn't know. And his improvement started, and his performance started improving. And when he was asked why he had been performing badly, he told me, and he told the head teacher of the new school, being denied to see my mother is affecting me. And in his school, actually, he was the best that year in senior 4, and Amliang again readmitted him. So what am I saying? Parents, whether you're in a broken relationship or broken marriage, look up for your children. Imagine if I had just left my son like that, where would he be? He's now in campus, he passed on merit, and he's doing law, all because I was in his life. And he keeps on saying, Mommy, missing you was affecting me. So parents, let's be in our children's lives, especially while we are not with them on a daily basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Faith, for sharing that story. It's so inspiring, and I'm really very sure everyone has learned something. Okay.
That was a very good sharing, a personal, actually it is a person, let me call it a personal statement from a person who has gone through some of these things, and she's showing us that as parents, we just don't give up. These are our children. We shouldn't be pushed up to the extreme end. Let the extreme end come much, much later. But where we can still do something, let us go ahead and do something within the limits of the law. And at this moment, let me take also the time to answer. I think she had a question about a child, a 17-year-old boy who is very, very reserved, keeps things to himself. Yeah, we should note that children have their own personalities. And yes, we have those who are really, really reserved, that even when you try to probe here and there, they might not find it easy to open up. But there are just a few things that you can do, and they can give you an insight in what is going on. So it is unrealistic to think that they will always tell us what they are going through. It is very unrealistic. Most of the time, these teens will keep quiet about their pain, but sometimes they will open up. But you as a parent, if you've noticed that pain, then you can probe a bit without pushing to the edge to find out what is going on, and you offer help where possible. Then encourage, for example, you can encourage outgoing behavior. If you have that child who is so reserved or is keeping to themselves, you can find a way of introducing them to communities, for example, church communities, where they usually have youth camps, youth this, etc., etc., where they can be able to open up, so that at the end of that day, much as they are reserved, but at least they are relating with some peers. You'll find that amongst those peers, they'll probably find someone they can relate to. And then deliberately try to take your children or your child to new situations. If we keep our children in the same situation, day in, day out, all the time they're in the house from morning to the end, and etc. over the weekends, 1 month, 2 months of holiday, they've not gone out anywhere, they've not done anything, they've not engaged in any kind of activity, then you will not get any answers from them, because they know their routine is to wake up, do this, sleep, full stop, day 1. Day 2, wake up, eat, sleep, full stop. Day 3, before you know it, 3 months have gone, holidays ended, and you have not gotten anything. So deliberately take your children to new situations that are very helpful for them, and where you have control of some of these situations. And then also talk to your child about the disadvantages of being shy. In most cases, when you're shy and you're not able to stand out for yourself, you miss out on certain things in life, because people tend to take you for granted. They don't take you seriously. Sometimes they think, that one cannot handle, he's too shy, she's too shy, that kind of thing. So talk to them about the many disadvantages of not of being shy and the advantages of not being shy. And then also you can share coping strategies because you're going through certain things. So this mom, Faith, has mentioned her coping strategy. She never gave up. She never gave up and she followed her child wherever. So if you share some of the things that you do to go through certain issues, then the child will also copy some of the things to help him or her overcome some of the challenges. And then sometimes you need to embrace your child the way they are. Sometimes you cannot change them into something different. And if that is the case, then work with what is available. Time will come when they will open up, or they will. If you do all these things and they are not opening up, then you've introduced the journals where they talk to themselves, write about themselves in their own privacy, and nothing is working. Then sometimes you need to embrace them that way they are. Maybe that is their personality, but somehow along the way, maybe they will notice and help and seek the help that they need. And then also, and by the way, sometimes it's not that they have problems that they are keeping to themselves. Sometimes that is who they are and they have no issues. And you can also try to engage your child in conversation, even when they are not replying. Do not tire. So if they are not replying today, maybe tomorrow they'll be in the mood to engage. So engage in conversations somehow, somewhere. Something interesting might come up and then you have a discussion about it. And of course, be part of their life. Faith has mentioned that be part of the child's life, even when circumstances don't allow. But if you can, be part of the child's life without spoiling the relationship between the child and the other party with whom you're having issues, because you shouldn't be the conduit that is telling the child your father is bad, your mother is bad, just because you're separated. Let them see for themselves without you creating that gap. And finally, you can also encourage activities that allow conversation. Activities like, a family gathering where you watch a movie together and maybe you ask them, oh, do you like this music? Oh, do you like this? Oh, etc. They seem out there, but these are things that can slowly work for us. And then I will answer another question I saw in the chat. Somebody had a concern. My son overcries over small issues, yet he's now big enough. What could be the problem? Now, we definitely cannot know the problem right now, but the one thing that you as a parent should notice is, how has it been before? Has it been like this from when he was a child to teenage, to teenage? Is this how he has been behaving? So take note of how he has been behaving. If he's crying over small issues, much as he's a boy, even boys can be emotional. Banange. It doesn't mean just because he's a boy, then he has to be a tough cookie. Not exactly. They can also be emotional. But if you find out what the cause could be, maybe you'll be able to handle that issue. And if you really, really have strong concerns about this, maybe that is where professional help comes in. You might find that when he's out with his colleagues and his peers and etc., he's a strong person. You might find out that the crying only happens when he's at home, because of that connection at home and etc. So if you find out all around that, then maybe you'll be able to help. So thank you. Back to you, Mr. Kaziba.
Wow. Thank you so much, Teacher Juliet. I want now to bring in Mr. David. You had a question or a sharing? David Semakula, Mr. David.
It wasn't a question. I wanted to bring it up to your attention. Do you hear me, sir?
Yes, though you are not so clear, but we shall keep.
In the chat room, whereby we want a share of the presentation, but nobody responded. We thought it had been there. Otherwise, there is nothing in there. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Now, we are going to share the presentation and the recording of this session. I think it will be around 2 when the recording has processed. We shall share the recording and we shall share the presentation on the different WhatsApp groups. And for those who registered in data form, we shall also share with you on the emails. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. I think in the chat, some people were saying we have some questions. Let me just check there. Okay. Yes, hope you can unmute and ask. Okay,
Hello,
Teacher Juliet.
hello everyone.
Okay, hello.
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go on.
Morning everyone. I hope everybody's well. For me, I've been listening since the chat started. I have had a lot of information that could be very important, but I've not had anyone talking about how to discipline these teenagers. We look like this generation we're raising, I'm sorry, lack of a better word, brailers. These children are not supposed to be told or talked to a certain way. We don't know how to deal with them when they become indisciplined because we end up being the bad person in the situation. How do we discipline these teenagers? Because they're also difficult. As much as they have their own issues, they're also difficult at times.
Okay. Thank
Mr.
you.
Kaziba,
Yes.
the last session that we had here, I think we had a teacher who said that if you're going to discipline the child, you discipline. By the way, in all the things that we have mentioned, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to treat these children as if they are kings and queens in our homes. They are princesses and princes in our homes. No. As a parent, there are things that you can do within your premises because the way I discipline my child, for me, it might be I don't spare the rod and it works for me. And then in your home, it could be something else, maybe like denying them certain privileges that you've been giving. So we as parents, we have to look at the issues within our premises to see how best can we discipline our children. We are not going to only look at their mental health issues and then we forget that we need to discipline the children. We have to discipline them. Indeed, we have to. And thank you, Madam, for raising that. So I was saying that there is a teacher who mentioned in the session we had last week who said that if you're going to punish the child, punish I think he said punish the activity or the issue they have done so that they know that doing this is wrong, but not punishing the child for who they are. Punish them so that they know that I have done this thing, I'm being punished for this thing, and therefore I know it is wrong, I shouldn't do it next time, and they'll walk a clear path. But if you continue punishing, everything they do, you beat. Everything they do, you shout. Everything they do, you do this. Then they will reach a time when they are just immune. They are immune to your words. They will not pay attention. And yes, teenagers can be difficult. They can be difficult, but sometimes they are difficult because we as parents, we are not listening. We are grounding our way, and it is 100% what I want as a parent that should work. That is why somewhere I said that sometimes we need to be open to new ideas and suggestions and see in some of the things that we do, there are certain things we do that we know will not work. That we know I'm going to beat this child from Monday to Monday. And at the end of the day, they will just lie down, you beat them, and they will not do what you want them to do. And therefore, you have to think of different things. Take away privileges. deny them certain things that are not the basics. So sometimes, and they get to learn that I'm being denied this because I did this. I lost my what? They are children who come back from school. Now they have nothing in their suitcases, especially boys. They have lost everything, and then they will continue telling you it was stolen, it was stolen. And then you find at school, beginning of opening term, and there are so many things, lost items that have been placed there. And that child cannot bend in that pile to pick out his shirt because bananda babatia. But you can punish that child by taking them to that pile of clothes, at least to the schools that I've been to, where my children have gone. You find that the clothes are packed there, and then you come as a parent on beginning opening day, and then you check for your clothes. But some children will say bananda babatia, and some parents will say, ah, Kasta, we bought a new one. But you can punish that child by taking her to that pile, and you tell her or him to pick out whatever has their name on it. That is already another punishment. So look at your home, look at ways, punish the issue that has been done, but not the child as they are. That's what I can say. And other parents can help us to share what has worked for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me hope the parent has got some answer. In fact, the quote that Teacher Juliet was saying, it is punish the act, not the person.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Another question we had in the chat was, how do I manage anger outbursts? Omutuuze buli kimu kimunyiiza ate nnyo.
So, anger management. Anger management, like we said, that these are teens, that those who have done medicine will tell us that teenagers go through hormonal issues, and when they are girls, sometimes it can be worse, but even boys also go through those periods of hormonal imbalances and issues. Now we need to understand that they go through this, but it doesn't give them a leeway to behave the way they behave. They should not step on our feet just because they are teenagers who have hormonal issues. That is where we said that sometimes you need to share your experiences. What are some of the things you went through, and how did you manage? How did you manage those situations? Sometimes these children are angry because they have seated on certain issues inside them. Until you find out what is bothering this child, the anger will always go on. You might not manage until when they grow up, but the truth is, there is always something inside there that is bothering them, and therefore they manifest whatever is bothering them through anger towards each and everything. They become angry at everyone. They become angry at every situation. They hate their teachers. They hate their friends. They hate their parents, that kind of thing. So you need, first of all, to find out, Chichi, study your child and find out what is it that is going on with this child. Why is she manifesting this kind of behavior? And then you start from there. So anger is an indication that something might be going on.
Okay. Thank you so much. There is this question, but I want to just request, in case you are a parent here and you have used an app called Google Family Link or Parent Control app, I want you to kindly share with us, because one of the questions that are raising, one of the parents is asking that my son likes spending so much on the phone. How do I control that without appearing like I'm being too strict? So there is that app on Google Play Store called Google Family Link. Now that app has some features whereby the parent, you can control what your child sees, what your child is watching, what your child is downloading. You can be able to control whatever your child is viewing. Even if it comes to downloading something on the internet, you can be able to see what the child is doing at that particular time. So there is that link, but I want someone who is using it. Probably you can share. But the parents who don't know that app, it's called Google Family Link app or Google Parent Control app. You can have it and your son's things can be easily controlled. And even you can have the phone controlled that at this particular time, maybe at 9 p.m., my son's phone will go off. So meaning that he cannot be able to access any feature beyond that time. Okay. Now, let me
Thank
ask.
you, Mr. Principal.
Okay, thank you. Let us listen to Odwali. Mr. Odwali.
Thank you very much for organizing this discussion. Thank you so much, the facilitators and everyone who has contributed. We've really learned a lot. On my side, as a senior parent, I also want to highlight a few things which I see contribute to the mental health of our teenagers when we are dealing with them. One of them is in the area of the words we use as parents. Sometimes in one way or the other, they error and we get very annoyed. You know, you utter a statement that humiliates one for forever. No, you go to school or wherever and will feel low about it. So let's control our hunger and try to manage whatever error they have done in a polite or a better way that doesn't, contribute to the mental health that will affect them. Then two, sometimes, we have these teenagers. If you have both girls and boys, and we plan for them in terms of shopping what their requirements are, and as well as the pocket money. Sometimes let's be open to them. If you have more than one, like me, if you distributing the items you will shop, be open, and also pocket money, be open to them. Try to interview them. How much do you expect? Or how much in average do you spend in a term? How much? So that you give them something reasonable, other than again giving excess that can actually interrupt his or her concentration at school. And in that way, one will not feel is more loved or more hated than the other, because those are the small things that will make them, begin thinking negatively and say, how comes my sibling was given this much and me this less? It means, I am hated, the other one's loved. Then you begin feeling low about such. Or maybe the shopping list, how comes the other one was given this and me no? So those are the things that keep affecting them. Then finally, to actually men here, we realize that where we're going now, the boy child is at risk. In the past, the girl was neglected, but of recent, the trend is that everyone is on the girl, everything is on the girl, and the boy child is neglected. You can see, even when you like giving pocket money, normally you think the boy should get less. It's a boy after all. Then the girl maybe gets double. You pamper the girl so much. But in the future, these two will have to coexist. If the girl is so much taken care of, well groomed, and the boy is neglected, it will be a problem to have peace. So to both female and male parents here, let's try to wake up and try to put attention equally to the boy child and not live like that Asian thinking that a boy will take care of himself. They are not doing weird things, which actually is not a worry to the future. So thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Odwali. That is so good. Yes, hope, kind of, maybe there's something, but let us first hear from Joanne. Mrs. Joanne?
Thank you for the presentation. I'm glad that I joined in. And just to encourage my fellow colleagues that are here, some of these forums and platforms where people are sharing such information are paid for. So I've chosen as an individual that every time there's an opportunity for a free presentation like this, to tap in on how we can learn from other people, to really take opportunity of it and join in, because it's never in vain. There is always something to learn from other people, and I really appreciate the people who are behind this. Now, my question comes from some of the suggestions that we are sharing here as solutions to how we can manage and contain our teenagers. I agree really with the people who are with others when we talk about raising children God's way, taking children to church. But I realize that over time, going to church for teenagers becomes a routine. It's just a routine that they're just going, but you even get ashamed. There are a lot of questions when they come back home, and you are vis-a-vis going to church, what they are really learning. So how can we make church, the seminars we are paying for, the going to church, attendance, we are going to specific teens church, children's church, how else can parents really go about it to help these young people? And also cautiously, while we are paying attention to only screen time, is the reading. There are children who are ardent readers, and we are not, and as parents, some of us parents are not even leveling up to halfway what the children are as readers. So it's not only screen time, but what children are reading out there. We might also have control about the books they are reading within home, but when they go out to school and friends, what books they are reading also has greatly influenced them, that probably even TV might be nothing. And also, let's be mindful about the children we are talking about. A generation that even a child that you will hardly suspect can do anything on a gadget will surprise you to do things that you can't do. At some point, I think that putting those controls, just a personal experience, it's okay to put controls, but like the counselors told us, it will depend on what your child is, how you understand your child. Personally, I've chosen not to put any controls in any gadgets, because while we are controlling one gadget, we may not have control over other gadgets around them. What happens then when they find friends with the same gadgets? When I have control over one email, do we know that these children can actually create so many emails? So my own way is just to try. It's not easy, no guarantee, but like we are learning and just trying to tap from each other's knowledge and experiences, is to try and talk and advise and journey with these people, with our own children, so that they learn to have those controls and management, because even us as adults are victims of the same things that we don't want our children to do. We are on TikTok, on social media endlessly, and we don't want our children to do that. So if we are failing as parents, and what makes us feel we are angels, to call them they are angels and they can manage? I think it's a skill or attribute that all of us have to really try to model, while we also support them along the way. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Juliet, for the sharing and for sharing with us about the control. Yes, so I think parents, please look through it and see which one can really work for you and for your children, because I hope you know that some of these children are better than us when it comes to ICT. They've been so much exposed. So we need to see how we can control what they watch. But for people who have the internet, that one can as well help in case you can have some control over the internet, because at times they tend to waste a lot of time on the social media platforms, and yet you are spending a lot of money on buying data for the Wi-Fi. And for those Wi-Fi, the routers, at times they have some settings whereby you can limit the usage of your internet. So you can ask your service providers to help you on that. Yes, Hope. Okay. Someone is still putting up the hand, but I'm just looking through the chat briefly to see whether there is anything. Someone was asking whether we can reach out to the different media platforms. We are going to try our best. But if you have those connections that can make us reach far, please just get in touch with us. We are really willing to help and reach as many schools as we can. But as part of our commitment, this coming term, we are going to be able to reach out to as many schools as we can, such that the children across the country can be helped. So starting first term, we are going to extend the services to very many schools, those ones that will be able to invite us, those schools that will have time, such that we can talk to the children, because like I told you in the first place, once now the parents are in the loop, the teachers are in the loop, and lastly now we need also the students to come on board. What affects the child is going to affect the parent, and then from the parent, the same thing will come to the back to the teacher. So that circle must work out very well. Otherwise, anything that is affecting the child affects the parent. At the same time, it's going to affect their children in a different way or the other. So we need to work together as a team such that these children can be helped. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Kaziba, maybe I should just add on to the previous speaker, the lady who has talked about church, that what can we do? Now, so if the children, of course, in most cases, we start our, religious journey as the children start with Sunday school, and if they are Muslims, they also have the Quran school and all that. So we usually start from there. And when they come to teenage years, it is very normal. It is very possible that now they are doing things for routine. It is very, very possible, and sometimes we have no control. But we can't stop grounding. The grounding we have given them as children, and they go through the teenage years, is the grounding that is probably going to help them when they now leave our homes. They are 19, they are 20, they are going to university. That grounding we have given them is what is going to compel them to wake up in the morning and go to church, because now you have no control over them. They are at university, you won't be there. They are in hostels, they are in university halls. You can't wake them up to go to church. You're not there because now they are out of your control. So the grounding we have given them is what is either going to compel them to go to church, or it is what is going to stop them from going to church, but we can't stop doing what is within our limits. Let us do what is within our limits. We know that when they are teenagers, sometimes they just do it as a routine. But if you get them involved in youth camps, in church, in Sunday school, teaching others and all that, engaging in activities that can keep them there, then maybe somehow it can help some. It might not be the solution, but it can help some. So we can do what we can within our limits. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me hope, now people who have put here their emails, we shall extract some, we can, but we shall try to see that we extract the chat such that we can be able to send you the recordings. But in case you, those recordings are always posted on the YouTube channel. Probably let me just get you to that YouTube channel. It's called Holistic E-Learning Platform. That's where all those recordings can be found. Holistic E-Learning Platform. So once that, the video is uploaded, once you check that YouTube channel, you'll be able to access the recording. It's called Holistic E-Learning Platform. And that's where many of the sessions that are coming, that's where we can be able to post it. It's this channel here, where you can find where you're going to find that recording. So you'll come, just check here, and then you'll be able to access the recording for that YouTube thing. So that's where we shall post it. Just keep that name, Holistic E-Learning Platform. All the videos will be found at that place. Then there are some things that maybe you have not heard about that maybe you would have wished. Very soon, we are also organizing, we shall have a session on parenting in the 21st century. So that's where I think some of the components that people have been mentioning in the chat, that's where we shall have them discussed. So we shall let you know when we shall have that session. But next week, we are going to go on and now talk to the teachers, because when your children are going through some things, also the teachers are going through the same. So now that results are almost coming back. Parents are on tension. Parents are asking, how will my child do? The children is also on stress. The teacher is more stressed than even the parents and the children. So next week, we are going to deal with the teachers on the issue of mental stress, and we shall be taking. So in case you have a friend who is a teacher, you can let him know. We shall be using the same room at the same time, such that we can also help the teachers to learn how to cope up with the stress that they are really facing in the schools. Then still in this week, we are likely to have also a session on financial literacy. We are having a friend from America who will be presenting, but I'll let you know before Tuesday. But the day, if things go on well, it will be on Thursday, such that we can see how we can balance everything. So it will be Thursday, but in the evening hours at around 4 p.m. But we shall let you know about it. We want to thank all those people that have really been here with us. Thank you so much for joining. I want now to invite Teacher Teddy to give our closing remarks, thank our parents and our presenters, and then to final close of the session. Teacher Teddy, you are most welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaziba. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Teacher Julie. That talk was awesome and very information-packed, full of issues for us parents to deal with. So thank you very much for giving us that insight. And I hope we'll be able to work on ourselves. I'd also like to thank Mr. Kaziba for organizing these talks for us parents, and I hope we'll take that initiative to also allow our children to listen in, especially from the program that Mr. Kaziba has said. Thank you very much, parents, for sharing your personal stories. That is something that we can all pick a leaf from and know that we are not in this alone, that there are people out there who are going through what we are going through, and they've been able to go through it. So we should also be able to go through. Probably some bits that I have picked is one of them is that parenting is very rewarding, but in the times that we are in, it's like it's the toughest job. And because it's the toughest job, what we do with our children today will most certainly shape their future. So we need to get to know them. We need to speak words to them so that those words that we speak, the positive ones especially, become like their internal voice. And once that happens, I think we'll be able to get good out of them. Then I remember some time back, I am a teacher, and one of those holidays, I usually check on some of my students. So I asked them on one of the days and asked them, how was your day yesterday? And she was like, teacher, you can't imagine. The Wi-Fi went off. And when it went off, I actually got time to talk to my family and my parents. And it looks like they are very nice people. And this is a teenager speaking. So I'm wondering, so they haven't been speaking all this time? It takes Wi-Fi to go for people to have time for each other. So that gave me something to think about. As parents, we need to really take time off to listen to our parents. Besides, I usually have this saying that cell phone, that phone you're holding will be small forever, but your child will not. They keep growing. So you need to take off time off your phone and off work and, talk to your children. So as parents, I think we have really picked something, and I implore all of us to work on ourselves so that we can support our children, we can love them, we can pay attention to them so that they become the best of themselves in future. Because if we don't shape our children, the outside world will, and the outside world doesn't really care what shape our children are in. So let us work on ourselves. And I think in the long run, with God by our side, we'll get the best out of them. So thank you very much for the active role that you have played. May God bless you and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Teacher Teddy. Thank you, parents. Thank you, Mr. Kaziba. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.